Hi, my name is Shantae Ward, and I'm a student at Liberty University. Today I'm going to present to you my Human Services 508 Interpersonal Communications Project. What I'm going to do is identify my overarching goal for life and how to enlarge my conversation. Next, I'm going to describe how my background and behavioral blends have influenced my conversation in a positive and a negative way. Then I'm going to define the potential barriers in my interpersonal context and how I'm going to deal with each one. Then I'm going to identify and provide solutions for noise pollution, internal and external. And in my conclusion, I'm going to give an action plan discussing what actions I will take in order to make my personal communication goals a reality. Next slide. My overarching goal, which is a formulation of identifying needs plus international resourcing, is giving me my enlargement of conversation. I believe that my purpose in life is to help others. I love the feeling that I get when I do help others, even at my own expense. So enlarging my conversation of life would include being able to help without hurting myself in the process. Because I have an innate desire to aid to others, sometimes I lose sight of my own wellness. Next slide. So in a nutshell, I want to be able to identify the self and enhance me, strengthen the relationship I have along with the ones I make during my aspirations to help individuals, gain the ability to talk and listen properly without the presence of barriers or deceit, and gain the ability to encourage my skills to others and enlarge their conversation so that they are more comfortable with others and myself as a person of guidance in their lives. Next slide. So we'll talk about my behavioral blend. As you can see, it's made up of the D is for directing, driving, demanding, dominating, determining, and decisive doing. The I is inspiring, influencing, introducing, impressive, interactive, interested in people. The S is for steady, stable, shy, security-oriented, servant, submissive, specialist. And the C is for cautious, competent, calculating, compliant, careful, contemplative. Next slide. So the results for my behavioral blend was S, behavior. That includes basic motivation of stability and support and desire in areas of specialization. I respond best to leaders who are relaxed and friendly and allow time to adjust to change. And I'm very supportive. It's expected of me to be steady when I am actually competent influence specialist. Next slide. So this was a confirmation for me. The results explain that my vision and passion was to help others, my overarching goal in life. It also revealed that I'm least likely to start confrontation, and I don't like conflict because I have a high expectation for others to respect and appreciate my personality, kind, caring, and giving. It also revealed that I can be very passive, and that allows people to take advantage. Next slide. So now we'll talk about understanding the art of communication. Communication is complex, continuous, collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal meaning making. We learned that from Stewart. Interpersonal communication is a subset of communication where people are contacting each other as persons on a personal level. So features of communication include meaning, choice, cultural identities, and conversation. Next slide. Meaning and choice. First, we'll talk about meaning. Continuous is defined because humans are always making meaning. Complex is defined as involving words, ideas, information, facial expression, eye contact, and touch. Collaboration is no one person can control the conversation. That's what that means. And now we'll talk about choice. Revealing ethics and revealing commitments. That's what the choice is about. Next slide. Culture. It includes ethnicity, gender, social class, age, and sexual orientation. So I did read upon an article from Karen Seeley of 2004. She advised that cultural therapists should properly eliminate cultural bias by recognizing cultural material that is significant to their patients and filter it out during their conversation. and their communication. So they said to do this, you need to identify the cultural specific ideas, practices, concepts, and meanings. Begin to listen selectively and routinely for these categories and intercultural treatments, and develop an openness to discovering patients' cultural assumptions by learning their precise meanings and implications. So to help therapists listen selectively for culture, 4 categories of cultural saturated material are identified. These include notation of self and others, conception of human development, constructions of emotions, and idioms of distress. Next slide. Next, we'll talk about identities. Communication involves negotiating your identity. So according to the research of 2015 of the listed researchers doing 2 studies, the results indicated that shared social identity is influenced in communication even when using a minimal group pattern. The results also indicated that there is an importance in shared communication identity for effective communication and its social psychology. Next slide. Conversation and nexting. Conversation is nonverbal and verbal exchange in real time. Nexting probes the questions of what can I do that is helpful next? What will be a productive response to what just happened? How could I take an additional stride in the process of communication? Next slide. Socialization process. So the social environment influences the types of behavioral patterns developed with positive or negative effects on the child when and while, child well into adulthood, affecting one's personality and how they perceive themselves. In regard to upbringing, my mother was the parent that promoted social engagement and encouragement. My father was the parent that taught through implying shame. For example, if we did something that we didn't take our time in thinking about to complete, he would point out how little intelligence was used. This caused a feeling of never wanting anyone else to feel the shameful feeling. I modeled myself into a people pleaser. This is what that caused. Next slide. So now we'll talk about inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling is the process of perceiving which includes selection, attending to some cues and not others. Organizing, which is arranging cues to make meaning of them, and inferring, which gives meaning to perception. When you exhale, this is what openness and disclosure is exampled through. Open with others by disclosing self to others, and open to others, listening and accepting others' disclosures. Next slide. Self-disclosure is also known as openness. On a personal level, self-expression and self-disclosure is a personal struggle, expressing my true feelings and opinions. This is my interpersonal communication need. In discussion, I referred that I inhale and never exhale. If you do this, you die. That is physical and mental truth. These truths are physical and emotionally sound. Refraining from saying what is felt or voicing your opinion in a proper manner causes stress and deceit. Stress and deceit ultimately affect the self. Next slide. Listening barriers. Burley Allen of 1995 wrote about listening barriers. There are listening barriers that prevent us from listening at our own fullest ability. Sometimes we hear what we want to hear and not what is actually being communicated. Bias, emotion, judgment, physicality, and are included as barriers as well. I realized through this course that I make my own filters when there's an anxiety to hear something more pleasing. I began to hear what soothes. Peterson in 2007, where we read, explained how a better listener and talker is summed up. He actually did it in a twofold index, which is shown here. Listening and talking aid. Talker, I am most bothered. I own the problem. The goals are to share your feelings and share your thoughts without accusing, labeling, attacking, or judging. When you're the listener, you're calm enough to hear. That's your goal. I don't own the problem. More goals to provide safety, to understand, to clarify without agreeing, disagreeing, advising, or defending. Next slide. Now we'll talk about noise pollution. They can be internal or external. Internal include hearing what you want to hear, as I previously stated, biased listening. External is loud noise or interruptions. So solutions would be for internal, becoming aware of the negative feelings in conversation, getting in touch with your emotional state, being aware that you're unable to listen properly so that you can change. And solutions for external loud noise and interruptions would be choose quiet places and to prevent interruptions. Next slide. Now we'll talk about my action plans. For being people oriented, the elements of improvement include learn total support is not always possible. Optimism is key to success. For social processes, elements of improvement include being aware of the social process and its influence on listening, abandoning repeating negative patterns exampled or experienced or witnessed. Next slide. More action plans for being able to exhale would be speaking with clarity and power, self-disclosing appropriately, which includes no random disclosure, disclose when attempting to enhance the relationship or crisis occur, keep reactions and feelings to self when others are untrustworthy. Action plans for listening better would be to help prevent listening barriers. The need would be to listen with your five senses. Burley Allen taught us this. This will allow the information to be accurately obtained and absorbed. The Bible also mentions how we should listen. Next slide. My spiritual action plan would be taken from Deuteronomy 32:1 through 2. It reads, "Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words of my mouth. May my teachings drop as the rain, my speech distill as the dew, like gentle rain upon the tender grass, and like showers upon the herb." Conclusion, spiritual action would be ultimately to obey God. Luke 8:17 through 18 quotes, "For nothing is hidden that will not become evident, nor anything secret that will not be known to come to light. So take care of how you listen. For whosoever has, to him more shall be given, and whosoever does not have, to him he thinks he shall be taken away from him." Even the Bible warns that we need to take care in how we listen. That helps me further understand that listening is very important. Thank you for your time.